What's up, everybody? Oh, good. Oh, wow. I like you very much. Thank you very much. This is a good crowd. Welcome to your panel, Deus Ex, Cross, Open Bionics, Augmented Future. How are you doing today, Comic-Con? What I want to do is commend you on coming to the most fascinating panel here. This isn't about some stupid TV show. It isn't even about some stupid video game, kinda. But it kinda is. But you know what I'm saying.
Well, it's going to be about a video game, just not a stupid one.
Exactly. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Laura Gallagher. Please give her a round of applause. Laura, of course, from IDOS Montreal.
Great to be here. Thank you for being here, too.
What do you do at IDOS Montreal?
I'm the lead character artist on Mankind, on Deus Ex, Mankind Divided. So I've been working there for about 8 years and a half at this point. I started there in 2007 on Human Revolution, pretty much near the beginning of that game, and I've been there since then. And I've been taking care of the modeling of our characters, and especially our main character,
Adam Jensen is his
Adam
name.
Jensen. Thank you. Since the beginning.
She's been working so hard on it.
Yeah,
You've all been there.
You just start to forget names after a while, right? It's just so automatic and stuff. So
it's like when you go to the gas station and you put the baby on top of the car and then you start driving. We've all been there. It's forgetful. It happens sometimes.
Yeah. It's great to be here. Thank you very much.
I'm going to skip this person in the middle who doesn't matter. Go down here. She's the star. I want to introduce her last. Everybody calm down. Jeez. Rounding out the panel down there, Sammy Payne, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Get in. You can't.
Sorry.
Don't you be afraid of that microphone. I don't even need one. You, though, you got to get right on it.
I'm here.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what Open Bionics is.
Open Bionics is a robotics company. We make 3D printed bionic limbs for amputees, and we're trying to make them look super cool and be very affordable.
And this panel's going to talk about how that happened with Deus Ex, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a really big way.
Yeah, and I'd say in a really big way.
Yeah.
And the really big way is small fry right here, Tilly. Hey, Tilly, how are you?
Good.
She's 10 years old, everybody. It's an accomplishment to live that long in America. We're all very impressed you've made it that far. Tilly, show them the arm. Look at, oh my gosh. So to be clear, it's not a glove.
No.
You're controlling that with the muscles in your arm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is that awesome?
Yeah.
How does that... What is that like for you?
It's alright. It looks cool. It's cool.
Go ahead. What do you got to say, Laura?
How do you feel when you have the arm on?
I just feel awesome. I feel like I don't need to hide, and I feel like I can just show off.
Show off right now. Move stuff. Do things.
What?
I said feel free to show off right now. Do things. You can do whatever you want to do with it. You can wave at everybody. You're doing this. You're moving around. Does it feel natural to you, Tilly?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah?
That's Tilly's favorite thing to do with it.
Yeah.
Look through it. Do the okay symbol.
Do you like?
I appreciate that. I like that. Laura, from the video game side, you're working on
Yes.
Deus Ex franchise.
Indeed.
How does it start? When you start the game, are you thinking about, well, Adam Jensen's using prosthetics, maybe one day we should look into this, blah, blah, blah. Because most people are like, I'm going to make a video game, and then they make the video game, and then they just keep making sequels to it.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think the truth is when we started working on Human Revolution, like some 8 or 9 years ago, I don't think we ever thought that human prosthetics would come such a long way and so fast. We've envisioned a future that was in 2027, and in which prosthetics are something that's very much that's something that a lot of people have, but we thought that future was much further off than it wound up being. Like, I don't think that we thought that we would be here in 2016 and that we would be seeing these sorts of things on, people. And I mean, we've seen prosthetics before, right? They're not necessarily new of this year, but what's new is that they're so affordable now, and that they're also so fashionable. You know, like the truth is, prosthetics used to cost a lot of money, and they were always look like medical devices.
Sure. There was no style to them.
Yeah, and you know, like we knew that this sort of future would happen at some point, but we didn't think it would happen so fast that it did, right? I think we owe a lot of that to 3D printing, which is pretty much the technology that you guys use at Open Bionics. And I think that 3D printing has evolved very fast throughout the years and made it so that now prosthetics are something that pretty much all the people that are in need of those things can actually like make those at home almost, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we're making all of these open source. DSX has been really kind and allowed us to open source this design. So anyone can download this hand from the internet and then 3D print it at home on a desktop 3D printer, which is just insane. Like we've had people in the US download their hand and then 3D print it and then wear it at home without any interaction with us.
That doesn't sound like a good business model for you at Open Bionics. Sounds like that's how you're closed up shop in 6 months.
I hope not.
But is 3D printing the big jump that you see, Sammy? Is that what's happened and changed? I mean, like, for what Laura's talking about, making a game 9 years ago and projecting, well, this is what it'll look like in almost 2030, to be here now, what was the change? What has happened?
I think it's two things. So 3D printing is one of them. So making them affordable and available, like 3D printing plays a big part in that. The other thing is the attitude change in society. So now we really respect being individual, we all really respect being unique, and we all want to look different from one another, and we celebrate those differences. Whereas in the past, everyone had to conform, everyone had to look the same, and you were made fun of if you were different. Now it's like really cool if you've got a robot arm. So we had to wait for that attitude change. So now everyone's really accepting, and people are jealous of people who get to wear robot arms. That are super cool.
Do you have a room full of people staring at you, Tilly, and they're jealous of your robot arm? Do you want to give it to them?
No.
So, chime in, Laura.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I've heard many comments about people saying, like, oh, please get rid of my actual real human arm so that I can get, like, an Open Bionics arm and, like an arm like she has right now. And I think that's just awesome. And
no, totally.
also a bit scary, but very much awesome.
For those people, though, they could just paint their real arm. Like, they don't have to lose the arm.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, you could get, yeah.
I'm just saying, if
Perhaps.
you're one of these people out there, like, I want to invest in a robot arm, slow your roll. Think about what you might be able to do with paint on your real arm. So, Sammy, making these arms, how do they work for some people in the audience, or maybe a moderator who doesn't fully understand how Tilly's making the arm move? What is going on?
Okay, so we have EMG sensors on Tilly's muscles. So Tilly's just squeezing her muscles. If she squeezes her top muscle here, she's telling the hand to close. And if she squeezes her bottom muscle, she can tell the hand to open. If she wants to change what her fingers are doing, she can hold the top muscle open, and then she can change her fingers. So she's got multiple different movements she can do. It's like perfectly designed for Tilly. So we took a 3D scan of her arm and then 3D printed a socket. So it's completely unique to her. And this is the actual size of a 10-year-old's hand. So we tried to do everything in proportion. So it's completely unique for her.
Tilly, was it hard to learn how to use it?
Not really, because it's just instructions. I'm pretty good at instructions, I think. Pretty easy to squeeze your muscles and relax, you know what I mean?
Pretty much just like you do in real life.
Yeah.
She got it like straight away.
Yeah.
Like we were really surprised because Tilly wore it for the first. This is only her third time wearing it.
Oh wow!
And so usually it takes amputees a little while to get used to it, and the perspective is different. But Tilly was using it straight away and like picking things up and like throwing balls, and it was great.
So then, Laura, when you guys were setting off to do Deus Ex,
Yeah.
Did everyone get like a crash course on how prosthetics would work, or were you interested in the real science behind it at that time, or were you trying to extrapolate what it would be in the future?
Yeah, I mean, like back in the day, I think that when we started working on the designs that would be in the video game, like we we were basing a lot of the things we did on actual prosthetics that would be, in the world at that point in time. And I think it's actually it's weird because back in the day when we started working on Deus Ex in 2007, we were actually designing things based off the real world, but now it's actually the other way around, right? Now we have actual real prosthetics that are actually now based on the franchise that we've worked on. So in a way, we've just come full circle. It's like we used to do things in the virtual space that was based on reality, but now it's reality that's actually based on the virtual space. And I think that's actually a cyclical thing, because the truth is, when I was working on adapting Jensen's arm for Open Bionics, I've actually had to go back and start to question all of the smaller details that are on Adam, on the arm of Jensen, because the truth is, a lot of smaller details that were there made sense in a virtual world, but didn't make sense in the real world. There's screws on there, right? And I think screws, I don't know how much people here actually do 3D. Maybe you can raise your hand if there's anyone here that actually does 3D modeling. If you guys have ever done hard surface work, in whichever program, you sometimes face a problem where you have a big flat surface and you're just not sure what to do with it, right? And one of the things that we do in 3D when we're not sure what sort of detail to put on something, we just put on a screw there, It's I don't know what to do. I feel as if there is a lack of detail on this panel somewhere. I'll just add a screw somewhere, And that's just one of the things that we just continuously do, because the truth is, it doesn't matter, right, if there's a screw somewhere and it's not functional, because you're in a virtual space. But now that we're actually building something that's going to be in real life, when I was actually working on this, I had to stop and actually ask myself the question, wait, is this screw that's on Adam Jensen's arm somewhere actually functional? Does it bring something, right? And I started looking around and looking at designs and stuff from real life, and I kind of realized that most things in life, when they're expensive and they're sleek and all of the screws are always hidden, people, the designers, they always try and hide all of the screws that are there. So essentially, when I was producing the version of Jensen's arm that was sent to Open Bionics, I just removed all the screws. I'm like, nah, screw the screws, right? We just don't use these things anymore. Besides, these guys are probably much better than I am at actually knowing where screws are actually supposed to be and are going to be functional on that actual arm, because it is still assembled from parts of parts that were 3D printed. So because of that, I just removed all the screws, and now going forward, I'm probably not going to put any screws at all in any sort of 3D modeling that I do.
I can't wait for the IGN review of the prosthetics look so fake. There's no screws. There's no.
Yeah.
They're being so lazy.
Exactly,
There's no texture on his arm.
Yeah. What, did you guys just cut back on the cost of modeling? You just removed all the screws, or we just
Clearly
need something that's simpler in detail? But yeah, no, I just think that's fascinating how when we worked on the game 8 years ago, we were actually basing our designs off of things that were in real life, and now real life is actually based off of things that we did in video games. And I think that's a cycle that's just going to keep on going.
So the gap I want filled in for the audience that I don't understand myself is, how does this relationship start? Is it, Sammy, do you guys reach out because you've seen the game, or do you guys find that Open Bionics is doing this and the game people hit you up? How does it work?
So Open Bionics made a 3D printed hand that had fiber optics running off it, that flashed blue, and it had loads of Swarovski crystals on it. Mm-hmm. And it went down really well with the people of the internet. And
Like you, people of the internet.
You people of the internet. It went down really well. And so all of these people on Twitter went crazy about it and then started saying, you need to make an Adam Jensen arm, you need to make an Adam Jensen arm. And then they started tagging Deus Ex into it. And there was like a Twitter campaign like held by someone who was like really keen for this to happen. And then the guys got in touch with us, and that's how it started. It was a really organic sort of community-based thing.
It was a very mutual thing. I don't think we know who contacted who first, and it was kind of just a case of both people picking up the phone at the same time and then trying to like ring each other, and then it's kind of busy on the end of the line because like that other person is also trying to call you at the same time. But that's kind of how it started, right?
Yeah.
So, Laura, what's the studio reaction then on your end when you see the flashing blue arm and this all starts happening?
Well, we're like, wow, like these are the sorts of things that we've anticipated with the games that we've worked on for like the past years or so, and here's a company that's actually building these things in real life, right? And I mean, the thing about these prosthetics that we have here is not just that they exist, but it's also that they're affordable, right? Like I think that's probably the biggest thing that had to happen for prosthetics to become a bit more mainstream and to become more something that could actually be a fashion accessory. You know, like the price of them had to go down, right? And I think that's what happened. And so when we started seeing these arms around, we just realized that's kind of the future that we started envisioning with Deus Ex, like so many years ago, is just coming to life. So I mean, I think we just really wanted to have this partnership happening because it was just a natural progress, I think, for us at the studio.
Sammy, talk to me a little bit about the nuts and bolts, no pun intended, of like what's happening with the cost structure. We're saying they're affordable now. What does that number look like compared to what it was a few years ago?
So right now in the US, prosthetics, bionic hands that are similar to Tilly's that have multiple functions can cost up to $125,000 for one hand.
Yeah.
I have a friend who paid that much for his hand. They usually range between like $60,000 to $125,000.
Okay.
So we are aiming to get this one and ones like this down to around like under $5,000. That's what we're trying to do.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Is that where 3D printing comes in? That it makes it so easy? And, you know.
Definitely. And we've completely changed how they're made. So traditionally, when Tilly was little, so she would have gone to a doctor and they would have taken a plaster cast, which is like the traditional way to make prosthetics. We use all 3D technology. So we use 3D scanning, and then we build the hand with 3D modeling, and we 3D print it. So the production time is so much faster. So Tilly would usually have to wait 3 months just to get the socket. We printed it in 2 days. So it's a huge difference in time and people's resources.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That you guys are doing great stuff.
Thank you.
Is this common in the field right now? Like, are there more organizations, companies like yourself that are doing this, or are you guys cutting edge on it?
It's pretty cutting edge.
Yeah.
It's still not common. Hospitals won't do it. Clinics aren't doing it. Doctors aren't doing it. There are people who are experimenting with it.
Yeah, you keep going.
But,
there we go.
Thanks. Yeah, so people are experimenting with it, but it's not mainstream enough yet, which is what we're working on.
I mean, I assume that's going to happen, right?
Oh, for sure, definitely, yeah.
So then, Laura, doubling back to you, you guys are on board. You see the campaign. They do this, and then they do they turn to you? Were you thinking initially that you were just going to send them a screenshot of the arm and like, there you go, you make it, and then all of a sudden you have to design it?
Yes.
What was that like?
No.
Was that one of your life goals ever, to sit there and design a bionic arm?
One of my life goals was to just send a screenshot to another studio and just say, here, handle everything yourself. No, the truth is that like when we work in a completely virtual environment like we do with video games, we don't really care all that much about real life constraints, right? And therefore, like we have a lot of files, and like certainly I've been taking care of Jensen's arms since the beginning of the franchise. So I know Jensen's every vertex and every polygon that's on the character, and I knew that those files were way too dirty to send to someone who was actually going to use those to actually build something for real life. So I kind of had to go. I don't want to say that I had to go back to the drawing board, but I really had to go back to all these files and just remodel all of the Jensen's arm from scratch, because the truth is, like, a lot of those details will not work in real life. You know, like, for example, there's a lot of military stuff in Jensen's arms, and somehow Open Bionics wouldn't let me keep those in for some reason.
So
they were like, "No, we have to remove the blade and stuff."
She can't stun people. She can't shotgun stun them right away.
Not right now. But maybe that's going to come at some point, right? Like
Gen 2.
Huh?
Next version 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's perhaps one of the scary parts as well of having prosthetics that are beginning to be this advanced. It's just how, you know, like, as far as civilians are concerned, we're not, I guess, too worried for now. But I mean, there will be a point, I suppose, when the military will be interested in this sort of technology, because the technology, you know, at some point, these sort of bionic limbs will probably outperform human limbs themselves, right? And that's both extremely exciting and also extremely scary at the same time. But I mean, back to the point, like I had to pretty much remake all of the arm from scratch, because the truth is it was just too dirty, and, you know, it was clean for a video game but not clean for real life. So I mean, there was a lot of work to be done there, and also, like, we have a second arm that's what we call the franchise arm, which is a arm that's not Adam Jensen's arm. It's actually a brand new arm. I don't know if we have any pictures of that somewhere. But like, that one was just a brand new arm where we wanted to convey different aesthetic, you know, while still keeping the like the savor of the franchise, right? We wanted to have something that was both unique and bold and fashionable, and that would convey both a sense of strength but also a sense of elegance in the design, you know? So, like, I think the thing about prosthetics is that they shouldn't be just a medical device. They really should be a fashion accessory, and, like, something that people are proud to show off. Like, I think she is right now, right? Yeah.
So then, well, and you can level with us, Laura. You're among friends.
Oh, yeah.
You go to work on this arm. Is this why the game got delayed? You were like, you guys got it from here. I'm going to go make this arm. You come back. You're like, no.
I'm not going to touch on that.
So then what's it like?
This is not the reason why the game got delayed. I believe the game got delayed because like, we're standing on the shoulders of a human revolution, and we just wanted to make a product that was as good.
Sure.
And, you know, for those of you who have played Deus Ex, I'm sure, considering the fact that you're here, it's probably most of you, but you can still raise your hand.
You can clap too. Clapping's fun.
Yeah. It's a quality franchise, and there was no compromise to be had with that franchise, so that's why the game took the time it took to make.
So then for you, though, what's it like to see the arm in real life?
Amazing. It's as a 3D artist, like, you know, I mean, if I can even call myself that, I don't have any sort of tangibility usually with my medium, right? Like, those who are used to either painting in real life or, like, making actual sculpture or, like, even drawing to a certain extent, like, you're actually used to touching what you're doing and to, like, seeing what you're doing in, like, real life. But when you work in the 3D field, like, all too often all you see is just a computer screen. And I mean, in that sense, like, actually seeing that in real life is just probably the greatest gift that I can have as a 3D, as someone who works in 3D, because it's essentially what I produce that's now in real life out there, and also changing the world, you know, as small of a change as it can be.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
So then, Sammy, where do we all go from here? Like, is it just is it hopefully things are going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper? Is it the technology going to get better and better? Is that where does it all work for you? Where do you think it's going?
It's just going to get better and better and better. Like the functionality, the look, everything's going to improve. The weight, it's going to be lighter, it's going to be stronger. It's going to be faster. It's going to have extra human functions, superhuman functionality. We did actually build the Tesla coil stun gun into one of the arms.
Oh, that sounds terrible. That sounds like a bad idea.
But we were told that we weren't allowed to bring it, so. Yeah.
I think I knew you guys were actually working on military stuff in secret.
Yeah.
I, for one, welcome our new overlord, Tilly. The first time she gets one that can like crush the walnut, I'll be like, oh no, you've given her too much power. Tilly, what's it like for you to have this, but also to understand, I think, better than all of us, where it's going, how fast it's evolving? Like, do you think about like where in 10 years the technology is going to be?
Yeah, I think in 10 years it'll be like, I'll be able to have a bunch of hands just in my closet. I could just go online shopping, go on the images, and then I could just 3D print it and just have a bunch of hands in my closet, just so I can ready-made, so I just go out one day and be like, oh, this goes with this dress, let's wear this.
Yeah. That's the future.
I can picture you now in your Iron Man workshop, where you're just like, you know what, I got a pink dress, I need a pink arm today, Jarvis. That's awesome. This whole panel's awesome. I told you it was gonna be a good one, right? I didn't lie. Thank you very much, Star Trek man in the front. So, for everybody on the panel, what haven't we talked about? What haven't I asked you? What about this process is something that's on the tip of your tongue?
Well, I did talk about screws, and I really wanted to talk about screws.
Nailed it.
I think I've nailed that. I am interested, though, in the future implications, and I would like to pick Samantha's brain as far as that's concerned. Like, where do you think things are going? But like, what sort of ethical questions do you see are going to come up, like in the future, regarding human augmentations and prosthetics?
So it is a bit of an ethical minefield, because we are receiving requests all the time for these bionic hands, and we're receiving requests from people who have two hands. They're jokingly saying, like, I want to chop these off. But I think if there's a desperate enough fan out there, might do it, because wearable technology and body hacking and biohacking is a thing now. People have illegal surgeries where they implant technology under their skin so they can become part cyborg. This is already happening, so we're just a step away from someone taking a more drastic step, I think. So these are really big questions, and as prosthetics become more fashionable and they become closer to what the human hand can do, I think doctors are going to have to be thinking a lot about what are the boundaries for selective surgeries. Is this a cosmetic surgery? And then is that okay? If it's your body, you have the choice over it, and if you want to do it, why can't you? So yeah, I'm definitely not the one making the rules for that.
Sammy, for you guys right now at Open Bionics, how does it work? Are you inundated with requests from people looking for help? How big is your team? What's that look like?
Yeah, so we're a team of 5.
That's not a lot of people.
We've been around for 2 years, and we're a very small company. We just started with 2 of us, and we've just got to 5. Despite that, we've made these huge jumps in prosthetics and in robotics and in wearables like this. But the requests that we're getting are worldwide. It's a huge problem. Millions and millions of people face this problem of having amputations and then not having devices available for them because they're too expensive or because they're too big. Like kids especially don't have good bionic hands. They don't exist because manufacturers can't make them small enough. This is the smallest, definitely the smallest bionic hand with that amount of functionality made. And so we're just keeping going, keep pushing.
How did you get hooked up with Tilly?
We put a call out on our Facebook page saying we're looking for people to test with who's like brave enough to join us, and Tilly volunteered. We got hundreds of volunteers through, loads of kids, so it's a really big, huge problem.
Tilly, were you scared at all to do it? She said you're brave enough. They're going to do experiments on you and things.
I'm fine with it.
And then for you, what was it like, Tilly? I mean, to go through this process of getting the cast and then getting it on for the first time.
I don't really mind because I've had lots of practice with hands because I used to work with Touch Bionics, and then Open Bionics came along, and I'm kind of used to it. I don't really mind.
Sure. What are the prosthetics you've used before like?
When I first got my hand, it was like a little hook thing, and I looked like a puppet because I had to pull strings and that. It wasn't very good.
That's not fashionable. No, you wouldn't want a closet full of those.
And then there was the Touch Bionics one, which looked really realistic, but
No.
I like to be unique.
And now you have this awesome Adam Jensen black and gold arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a step up, right? Yeah.
So these files are going to be open source, right? Everyone's going to be able to grab those afterward?
Yep, absolutely. So all of our designs are open source. We have a pretty big developer community. So you just take the files, improve them, share them with your community, do whatever you want to them really, print them for someone. And yeah, the reason why we're open sourcing this is because we want it to progress faster. We want to see where this can go and how fast it can get there. And the only way to do that is by opening up all these technologies. That makes innovation happen faster. If you have a crowd of people working on a problem, your problem's going to get solved faster.
How complicated? I understand the 3D printing part because I could wrap my head around that. But how complicated is it then to wire it and do all that stuff?
It's pretty complicated making a robot hand. The most complicated part is the human interface, the human-robot interface. The technology isn't as advanced as it could be, and we're waiting for the technology to sort of catch up with how we see the future of these limbs working. I don't know. We're just really excited by it, really, the future of it.
Of course. How far out do you think the technology is from catching up? Because it's like that thing people talk about, computers, right? That every 6 or 18 months the computer like doubles in terms of power and what it can do.
Well, considering how fast we've grown in 2 years, like the whole prosthetic technology in 2 years has grown amazingly fast. I think it's not going to be a long time because loads of people are working on it now. When we first started this, there weren't that many people working on it. Now there's loads of people working on it across countries, so it's brilliant.
And then I guess my final question, because we want to open it up to you. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Well, that's the speed you have, Nick. The one, good Lord. What can people like us do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely cannot 3D print anything, nor can I wire anything, nor can I design anything, nor can I crush a walnut in my hand. Like, what do we do to help progress things forward?
So, do we have any artists in the room? Yeah, designers, 3D modelers. Nice. So we're basically looking for people to come up with designs. Like, we're taking the first steps into making these look fashionable. We want amputees to have as much choice as possible around what their limb could look like. So we're looking for people to contribute designs, open source them, say like, look, I've designed this awesome robot arm. You can build it. You can have it. It's yours. That's what would be really helpful, and then just spreading the word, letting people know that these are open source and anyone can work on them.
Okay, we can do that.
Thanks.
If you have a question, please come line up with Nick Scarpino. He'll gladly interview you and get you all set up there. Oh man, a lot of people do. Good. I told you this was going to be an interesting panel. Nobody believed me though. Did you believe me? You're a liar.
A
line at 7:30 for this panel? That doesn't seem like a great use of your time. Like, you could have walked in. True, best seat in the house. Nick, who do we have first?
Greg, we have Santiro from Mexico.
Oh, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing good. And congratulations first. You guys are the joining point between a dream and a reality. Mm-hmm. And that's just how I want to start. So first, a big clap for that.
Thank you.
And the second one is about, so I work with animals. I'm working more or less similar to what you're doing with prosthetics, with 3D printing and animals. And you guys' neural interface, with it is based off communication and learning. Mm-hmm. But with animals, we cannot do that. You cannot tell them flex this muscle and have the EMG interpret that or the intensity of that to movement. And are you guys thinking about in the future approaching a point where you do not need that, where your interface can learn the stimuli just by interpreting the EMG and just having it flexed and be more natural and more adaptive? Because that big point is a big gap that we have with animals. And also encouraging you guys to do that, because it's not just helping people. You're helping almost every living animal in this planet. Just with this technology and influencing us and stimulating us, you guys are helping everybody in this planet.
That's very cool. Thank you. So I think where the best interface and where the future is in this space, maybe for animals, I've never really looked into that, but is brain implants. So having a prosthetic fused to the bone and as become part of the body. Tilly's isn't. It's just like placed over her skin. And then having a brain implant. So it's not a conscious thought that you have to flex your muscle. It's you just think, I want to move my hand or foot or paw, and it happens.
Okay.
So I think that's the future.
Okay. Thank you very much.
How far do you think we are from that future?
We're at it now. Researchers are doing that.
Yeah.
It is a thing. It's just very early, very early stage. I think only one person in the world has had it done. It's been very successful, and they're trialing it in Australia and I think Switzerland.
Okay, great. Nick,
Would
who's
his
next?
family name be Jensen, by the way?
It wasn't Adam Jensen, no.
Oh.
We have Eric from Dallas.
Hi, Eric.
Hi. I was wondering, y'all talked a lot about the future of prosthetics and how y'all are doing the 3D printing arms. Are you going to move on to legs or other things, or does that offer more complications like load bearing and things like that?
Thanks for the question. You're right. It does have a different spec of challenges and complications, but we are looking at making affordable bionic limbs. We're looking at how 3D printing might be able to help innovate that prosthetic industry as well. We're also looking at how to make lightweight and affordable exoskeletons for people who have suffered strokes. So there's a lot in the wearable robotics, assistive technologies that can be improved, we think, by 3D printing and making stuff affordable, essentially.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
Nick, who's next?
Alex, Miami. Is how he introduced himself to me, and I was like,
He
"Is
said
that
it
your
like that?
name?" I was
He
like, "Is
said,
that your
"Alex,
name?"
Miami.
Alex, Miami.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. Lauren, I just wanted to say, I don't really see any reason why you should be ashamed of calling yourself a 3D artist. I mean, if you're in the interactive media industry and you're part of aesthetic design, you know, you're an artist.
True story. Woo!
Well, thank you.
Laura.
I think the thing is, I think there's a lot that comes with the term artist, and I don't know that I'm deserving of that term yet. I mean, there's a lot that goes into 3D modeling. I mean, there's some people will call us designers because we actually have to work. You know, there's a lot of elements of design that we also have to think of and incorporate into our work. So, I mean, well, thanks. You know, like if you're saying that, it's just that it's hard not to feel very modest when you consider just much bigger artists are there, or like people who have made their mark, you know, in a way that's way bigger than I think I will ever. You know, like when you look at people, you know, like the great painters or like the great sculptors or like these sorts of things, I'm kind of standing on the shoulders of giants in a way.
Sure,
and I don't know that I could ever be up to their level. So calling myself artist, I think, is something that I'm not sure I'm deserving of that term yet. But
Sure. I
thank you.
believe the project you're part of is fairly large, so I believe you deserve it. And Samantha.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Samantha, have you received any backlash from some of these companies that are charging $60,000+ for prosthetics? Because I mean, in some ways, some of these companies, while they're not necessarily for profit, I mean, they need to kind of fund themselves. Mm-hmm. And a company like yourself that's looking to bring it down to a much more affordable level, what backlash have you faced from the industry as it stands with what you're doing?
So we have faced some questions, but as soon as people ask us those questions and we give them the answers, they usually feel much better. The reason why prosthetics in the US, especially bionic hands, are so expensive is because of insurance companies. I mean, the US healthcare system is completely different to, like, yeah, I won't go there, but
I like how you said different. That wasn't the word I was going to use.
so yeah, it's the insurance companies, which is why we want to like completely change how amputees go and get these devices. We're not going to go through insurance companies; they can, go away. And we're going to sell directly to amputees using 3D scanning. We can do it all ourselves. We don't need to, and it's at such a low price now. It's worth it. There's no point going through insurance companies.
All right, so you've never really faced any barriers trying to do what you're doing?
Well, I didn't say that. No, we're currently going through. We have to go through some FDA procedures to make sure that the materials are safe on the skin. It's all fairly like normal regulatory procedures. We had a little iffy response from prosthetists who were really worried that we were going to completely take their jobs, but that's not the case. Prosthetists will still be needed. They need to make sure that the socket is really comfortable and that it's breathable, and so we're not going to be taking people's jobs away. We're just trying to make things easier and faster.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, we have Brian from Orange County.
VOC.
VOC, Greg, yes.
Hi. So assume that I get a solid gold but prosthetic arm on credit. Would it be legal and I default, would it be legal for someone to repossess that solid gold arm?
Ooh, tough question. I'm going to say no. I don't know.
If you don't make the payments on it, they can repossess anything.
Well, I mean, I may be very shameful now, but I am going to plug Deus Ex and say that in Mankind Divided, that's the sort of questions we like to ask inside the game.
When's the game coming out?
August 23rd.
That's soon.
It's in a month from now.
Hey, Greg, this is Andrew from Scotland.
Hey, Andrew.
A question's for Samantha. As Tilly gets bigger and bigger, do you have plans to kind of upgrade the arm and then obviously grow it as she grows?
Yeah, of course. That's why we're using 3D printing and it's so amazing, and 3D scanning. So 3D scanning takes about 2 minutes. You just like pop a 3D scanner on the back of an iPad or a smartphone. Literally takes 2 minutes, as long as Tilly's staying still. And then we can print it overnight, print a hand in 48 hours, and you can just measure up, size it up as you go in your 3D modeling. So it's actually really simple to grow it as Tilly grows.
And how often is it getting replaced?
So traditionally, it's as Tilly's growing, it's like for small children, essentially, it's every 6 to 12 months. Sometimes it's twice in a year. It depends on their rate of growth, which is why prosthetics right now for kids are really, really expensive, and they don't really do them because that cost would be so unachievable. Like Tilly's last arms, I think, cost like £36,000 for the pair, which is, imagine having to pay that twice a year. That's huge. It's really huge. So yeah.
And Tilly, if you want it to, can your right arm be stronger than the left one? Can you crush a can?
I don't think it's that strong yet, but maybe in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
She'll punch through walls at some point.
I was going to say, Sammy, be very careful in the future.
Yeah. You haven't seen her angry
Tilly
yet.
seems balanced now, but I don't know.
Hey, Greg, this is Mike from LA.
Hey, Mike.
How's it going? Thanks for doing this panel. It's great. Laura, thanks for what you and your team has done with Deus Ex and that mythos you guys have developed over the years.
Thank you. Thank you. It's our pleasure, believe me. And like the truth is, like when we see this in real life, we just feel as if all the work that's been going into it has been worth it. You know, like I think that video games are more than just about making entertainment. They can actually change the world, and I think this is a proof of that. So.
Right, definitely agree. Tilly, you're awesome, and you're going to be a great spokesperson in the future for prosthetics.
Thanks.
So my question's for Samantha, though. So I've been involved in rapid prototyping for well over a decade, so I stay on the pulse of 3D printing and stuff like that. What are you guys doing at Open Bionics to reach out to companies like Carbon or New Pro 3D, some of the that are doing the new polymers and things like that?
We're not doing anything like that.
Really?
Yeah, we are. What we're waiting for and what we've been experimenting with and hacking together on our 3D printers are multi-material 3D printing. We think that's going to be the biggest benefit for making a strong hand that's super light.
So you're talking about like carbon fiber inlay and stuff like that?
No, mostly we're talking about like a flexible, we want something that's grippy, so like a silicone outer, so we can pick up bottles and really hold it well. Then we want a strong inside material, like a bone, essentially, mimicking a bone. And then another flexible material for the joints. We think that this way you'll have all the properties of the human hand, but it'll also be light because the weight is a huge issue with Bionics.
Okay. Are you working with Objet on anything like that?
No, because the reason why we're not working with any of these big companies is because their technology is quite expensive.
Sure.
We literally use the lowest cost and desktop 3D printers. So at the moment we're using Ultimaker 2 3D printers.
Okay, cool.
With a flexi head, because these are flexi hands, and yeah.
So this material that Tilly's arm is made out of currently, what is that?
So the bottom of Tilly's hand is 3D printed in one piece, and it's got living joints. It's made out of a material called Ninja Flex.
Oh, Ninja Flex, okay.
And yeah, it's a pretty cool name, isn't it? And
it's a cool material too.
Yeah, it's a really great material. And the top of the hand is PLA.
Very cool. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Frank from San Diego.
Hi. So I wanted to sort of go back to the conversation about the moral and ethical implications of all of this stuff. And I guess something I've been thinking about is how more and more our identities are being translated into virtual and now actual like mechanical contexts. And so I guess I wanted to ask you guys what your thoughts are on what that means for sort of existing identities like race and gender, and how, as this technology evolves, that will sort of reformulate or change, like how will that impact how society works and how it's structured?
That's a big question. So I think the hardware will evolve with our attitudes, like as it has been doing. So prosthetics is actually a really good industry for what you're talking about. It used to be really important for amputees to blend in and try to pretend that they had an existing arm by wearing cosmetic covers and things that didn't even move, even though it would be really uncomfortable for them to wear. And now we have arms that look like this, that are like beautiful objects, and they're almost like little masterpieces. And I think it'll continue to grow, as your expressions change, and these are all open source, so there's nothing stopping you from like updating the arm and turning it into your favorite color, turning it into your kind of style, and then wearing it. And I think you'll find that when you wear it out, the reaction you'll have is, oh my God, that's amazing. Like when Tilly's out and about with this, people walk past me like double take, and they're not like double taking because they think, oh, she's missing an arm. They think, oh my God, that looks amazing. So yeah, that's, I think, how it will evolve.
Yeah, no, that's it. I think that. Thank you.
This is Elijah.
Where's he from?
Fontana.
Thank you.
Hi, my question's for Samantha. I had a question as to what advice you would give to someone who hopes to work in the bionics industry one day, and what you would suggest to me for what fields I should look into, and what places, I guess what areas of the bionics field need the most help.
Need the most help? Okay, this is great. EMG sensing, that needs to come on leaps and bounds so we can give amputees a much easier control method. So at the minute, Tilly's operating with just 2 channels, but there's a wealth of muscle mass here. So if we could pick out those individual signals, Tilly could like move her fingers individually with no problem. She wouldn't have to like double tap a muscle. So I think EMG needs a lot of work, and that would be great. And as far as getting into this industry, I'm sure you're very creative. You're here. Just make stuff. Start tinkering with things. It's by like downloading the designs and playing with it that you realize, okay, this is where it could be improved. Right. And then just start building it and start sharing your work. One of the biggest growth factors for us was sharing our ideas. Like we wouldn't be here right now if we hadn't started sharing very early on and getting a lot of feedback from the amputee community. And the other really big thing is work with the people you're working for. So if you're an artist and you want to help the prosthetics industry, work with the people that are wearing the prosthetics. They are the best people that are going to tell you this is a bad idea, like that's completely useless. And they'll tell you like this is a great idea and this is what I need. So I think that's the best way to do it.
Thank you.
Hey, Greg, this is Alicia from San Diego.
Alicia, you have the honor of being the final question.
Ooh, and the only girl to ask a question.
I don't see gender. I don't know.
Oh. So my question is for both Tilly and Samantha. So Tilly, how has the arm helped you in everyday life so far? And then Samantha, what do you see as kind of where do you see your products going in the next couple of years in terms of helping people live better in their daily lives with prosthetics?
So I should probably say first of all that Tilly has probably worn this arm for less than 3 hours. Okay. So it's not had a chance to be taken home or really used in a really meaningful way yet. And I'll let Tilly answer that one in a second. But as far as what we're working on and how we see things changing and what we want to see happen, at the moment Tilly has a really good control over this. She's very good at using it, but she can't feel anything that she's picking up. So she's got no sense of if she's grabbed this ball and it's a little bit wonky, she can't feel that it's slipping. So we're working on pressure sensors in the fingertips to give her some feedback. She's got some feedback. We've got a vibration motor, so she knows which grip she's in. But we want to make it as lifelike and as easy to use as possible. So in the next couple of years, we'll be adding those features. We've got bionic hands that have lights in for kids. We've got bionic hands that have sounds in, so you can play your favorite song on it. We basically just want to continue being really creative with what these hands can do, what they can look like. We're not restricted by anything. We can make it do or look however we want it to. And then the next step is obviously legs and branching out to other parts of the body.
All right, for my question, it's like Sammy said, I've only worked for less than 3 hours, but I can throw a ball.
That's pretty cool.
Yay.
Before we let everybody go, Sammy, I heard before there's a panel coming up you wanted to talk about, right?
Yes, so you'll probably be interested as you're here, but there's in New York, there's going to be the Human by Design conference, and I will be there talking about selective surgeries and body hacking, and there'll be lots of other people there who have embedded technologies who don't have disabilities or aren't limb different, but they have chosen to have extra bits of tech embodied for fun or for art. And so that's happening in August. And yeah, join us if you can. Great.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give Laura, Tilly, Sammy a round of applause. Thank you all for coming out. Have a great Comic-Con. Bye, Deus Ex.